Good afternoon. The first warrior we recognize here tonight will be Janet Ragland Beaman. Sister Beaman, as I knew her, was a loving and caring sister. I remember the times when we were performing and she went out into the crowd and singing and always singing Miss Silly's Blues from The Color Purple. That would always show me that we didn't have to be in church in order to be sisters. Sister Beaman battled with cancer but kept a positive spirit throughout. Sister Beaman made transition on Sunday, July 17, 2011. She was a singer of jazz and gospel. She was a great teacher and an organizer of the event, which I knew to be class and success. I read an article, it had a quote in it by a special friend of hers, Gian Carlos Carbon. And it says, her quote was, "Always be for real." Always be for real. And she was a for real person. In choir rehearsal, if you had an attitude or if your vocal notes weren't on key, she'll tell you. Even if you couldn't sing, she'll make you confident enough that you could sing and it would sound good. I remember the times when we would rehearse and she would always ask me for that smile. "Sister Sneed, where's that smile?" She loved sharing her talents with others, and she was always positive when she worked with them. And to show you what a kind, generous, and sharing person she was, in an effort to assist those who may be facing the same similar fight that she fought, she donated her body to research and hope that a better treatment or cure will one day become possible. Sister Beaman was a warrior and a friend. And if there's anyone here today that would like to come up and say words about what they knew about Sister Beaman, now's the time. Our family members. Don't be shy. Did you know Sister Beaman? If you knew her, you would be up here. There's no one to represent her?
I have the wonderful pleasure of talking about Emmett Porter, Sr. He was a Deputy Executive Director of Action for a Better Community Incorporated. And while serving in the position, Emmett Porter Sr. co-founded the Mighty Liberators Drum and Bugle Corps in 1972. The Mighty Liberators were a youth program within Action for a Better Community to keep children off the street and to prepare them for a successful adult life. The Mighty Liberators performed and traveled nationally, winning many competitions. In 1982, due to ABC's program cutbacks, the Mighty Liberators disbanded. Emmett Porter stayed active with the Mighty Liberators alumni and helped reorganize the Mighty Liberators II in 2006. Emmett Porter Sr. left Action for a Better Community to form his contracting company. He was the owner and president of E. Porter General Contracting, a local businessman who tried to help young minorities get involved in the trades. His longtime friend, Fred Nash, stated that for Emmett, it was about the kids, and he tried to give them something they could keep, something they could take care of and do and help their families. Emmett Porter Sr. was an inspiration to so many and made invaluable contributions to the Rochester community. On February 26, 2010, Emmett Porter Sr., a leader, community activist, and entrepreneur, transitioned from Earth at the age of 68. He made an impact in this community. I remember him so well. He was a wonderful leader and he was passionate about the young people in this community. And we need to get back to that. Are there any family members here? Any friends? Anyone would like to come up and speak? It's Brooke.
want to thank the committee for recognizing Emmett Porter. And I just want to say a couple of things about him that some of you may not have known. We talked about how he loves the youth and the work that he's done for the youth with the band and all of that. But one of the things that he really cared about was the whole family. He wanted to make sure that the brothers in the street had jobs. And we all know that once you get a record and you leave prison and you get out here looking for a job and you got a family to feed, that the opportunities are this big. He was one of the main ones in the city of Rochester who will hire a felon and make sure that he didn't go back in the street to do what got him back in jail in the first place. So I like to say that, and I also like to add one thing. Because he loved young people so much, he spent a lot of his time in the street with the drum and bugle corps, and he spent a lot of his own personal money keeping it going. He didn't come out and beg people in the street to help their own kids continuing to go and do the corps. He did it on his own, and I loved him for that. And he was always there, but I just like to say he is the first contractor in this history, the first black contractor in the history of Rochester that was able to get a contract for $1 million. He was the only one in the city of Rochester, black contractor that was able to get insured for $1 million job. So there was that type of commitment that he had to grow and be able to share with our community to make sure that our people stayed out of trouble, had jobs, and could feed their families. So again, thank you for recognizing. And this is my son. God bless the rest of you. I think
Hello, everybody. Hello. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. Thank you, Uncle Daryl. I don't know if you recognize me. I'm Emmett's nephew, Julius Porter Jr. Fiance. He didn't make it here, but I know he wanted to be here, but he'll be coming to the door in a minute. I just want to say a few words. Mr. Emmett Porter, I met him when I first started dating his nephew, like back in 98, 2000. He was a well-loved person. I know some of their family members are related to my stepdad family. And it's like everywhere I go, when I mention my fiance, the first person name come up is Daryl, Emmett, Julius. Of course, we know all the Porters. Everywhere I go, everybody talk about him. We was with him 3 days before he passed. It seemed like he was happy, he was rowdy. I never had a argument, incident, or anything. He treated me nice, fairly. I met all his children. He was a well-loved person in the community. And I'd like to thank y'all for honoring him. And also what I wanted to say too, even when I spoke to the children, they said regardless, of who he was a father to all of them, which plays a big role in our black household. When it comes to the community. So just for that, the children saying he was a good father, we got to know where he is and Isaac created him. And I just wanted to say thank you, for everyone, like I said, for being here and honoring him and keep on honoring the rest of us.
Okay, our next warrior is Alene Virginia Rush. Alene Virginia Rush was born to Mr. and Mrs. Henry T. and Lula C. Allen. She was the oldest of 5 children. Alene was a trailblazer, always excellent in her studies. She completed her early childhood education at Blanche Elementary School. She graduated from high school at the Caldwell County Training School. She earned her BS degree from Elizabeth City College in Elizabeth City, and later matriculated at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, where she got her master's degree. Upon graduation, Alene returned home to begin a career in education, first as a classroom teacher and then as a teacher principal with the Virginia school system. In 1960, she relocated to Rochester, New York. She began as a classroom teacher with the Board of Education and advanced through the ranks and had many positions of what I would call authority. And the reason I say authority, I knew Alene Rush personally. Later, she became the administrator for the graduate intern program. And as the intern for the graduate intern program, all of the interns really loved her. But the thing that Alene did in that capacity was she went back down south and recruited about 30 to 40 teachers, black teachers, to come to Rochester, New York. Alene formally retired from the school system in 1983. She began working for Nazareth College. She retired from Nazareth College, and upon her retirement, they gave her a distinctive honor of the Nazareth Chair. And as I understand it, the Nazareth Chair is a very hallowed award that Nazareth gives away. Alene Rush was dedicated to the Lord. After relocating in Rochester, she joined the AME Zion Church, and that's where I know Alene from. As a dedicated church member, she sung with the Troubadours, and my understanding is that the Troubadours are one of the best choirs in Rochester. She was a member of the Board of Trustees, the Missionary Society, a class leader, the lay council, and she actually wrote the lay council creed, the Yatsuit Club, and other leadership positions in the AME Zion Conference. As a leader in the community, Alene served on many boards and organizations where a lot of times she was the first African American woman to serve on those boards. She was one of the founders and president of the James and Bessie Ham House. She was a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and Alene's life reflected everlasting faith, enduring strength, unselfish love, a caring heart, forgiving spirit, and immeasurable patience. Is there anyone that would like to speak for Alene? Come forward, my wife. Oh, this is Mrs. Ripper.
When we moved here from Michigan in '86, we eventually joined Memorial Stadium Design Church. And Sister Alene was the person who gave me those 6 months of lessons on how to be a designer person. So we went through her classes. But what I came up here to say was Alene was a person who gave more than 100%. She was that person that Memorial sent to all of the conferences. She knew all the bishops and all the people who went to conferences and the churches in the Northwest District. There are bishops, and there's a group of justices who are higher than the bishops. So when the bishops have a problem that they can settle, they have to take it to these 13 justices. They're really judges. So when Alene got up high in the church, she looked at the lists, and they were all men. So she had a hard road because back then, being a woman, you were not about to be a justice unless you could outsmart, not me, outsmart them to make sure all of your ducks were in a row. So that's what she wanted to be. She wanted to be a justice. And believe me, she did the work, she wrote all the purposes, she made all the reports, she answered all the questions. And she became the only woman to become a justice for the AME Zion Church. And that was higher than the bishops. So the judges are called justices. They get to tell the bishops yes or no to what they do.
And believe me, when you talk to Alene, you would always say, justice.
Lawrence Richardson. Tragically, on April 9, 2012, the street violence that Lawrence Richardson was trying to eliminate with his life. After the shooting, a video was created with words that those who knew Lawrence felt he might say in an open letter to the shooter. I am the brother you murdered, when we both deserve so much more. Don't forget me. We are forever tied together. To all the shooters in our community, hold your fire. Reach out. Heal. Get what you need. Stand up and speak out. We need each other. Lawrence openly shared his struggle, his life, including the less than wise decisions he had made. He took responsibility for past actions and made the choice to change. He became a youth organizer and mentor for the Center for Teen Empowerment. He was also associated with Pathways to Peace, Goodfellas, and the Center for Youth. Richardson was on the forefront speaking out against violence in the city, doing youth outreach and violence intervention programs. To try to foster more understanding and mutual respect between local law enforcement and teens, he helped to organize a youth symposium between the Rochester Police and Teen Empowerment. Lawrence, when connecting with the police and others, would say, we might look tough and even act tough, but under that,
Most of us are hurt, scared, and don't know what else to do. So when you encounter us, please remember this. In watching videos, one can see him transform from where he was unable to look at his audience to a self-confident man who appeared to feel good about who he was and what he was doing. He practiced what he preached, working hard and caring about his family. Words that have been used to describe this peace activist are real, genuine, like a breath of fresh air, someone who really cared about others, energetic, a phenomenal youth advisor, a phenomenal human being. Lawrence would not have wanted his death to create even further violence, so at his funeral, people were encouraged not to retaliate, but rather to forgive. Yes, the shooter ought to be identified and held accountable, but the cycle of violence needed to be broken. Lawrence, at the age of 22, is the youngest warrior to be recognized by the Maafa Celebration Committee. One becomes a warrior by how they live their life, rather than how long they live their life. The issues contributing to violence that took his life remain, but that does not take away from how he impacted the lives of others or his efforts to make this a more peace-filled community. I didn't write this, but I never had the privilege of meeting Lawrence. But in learning about him, I feel like this is just such a remarkable young man, and I feel very privileged to have been able to put a few words together. I also know, I understand there's a family member that wanted to say something, and I would invite. Is there someone that would like to come up and add to what?
Thank you. It was a lot of us here, or it is a lot of us here, so I was looking around to see who was going to represent. A lot of people don't know that Boo Boo, as we called him, Boo Boo and I, or Boo Boo and another probably 60 of us, we were raised together, but we're not blood. And many people don't know that. And I've always said, we all call each other cousins and aunts. That's just how we were raised. We wasn't raised, we're not raised in blood, but we were raised with the bond. And for a lot of us, for most of us, my uncle, who was Boo-Boo's stepfather, who raised most of us, all of us in our family, he stood as the backbone, the man backbone, that father figure. I heard someone here talking about the lack of fathers in the household. Well, my uncle was that, and he raised Boo Boo to be the person who he was, until last year. So we're here celebrating the life of Boo Boo.
Amen.
It's something that we'll continue to do. We thank everybody for the opportunity, and it's really good to be able to share his story each day, each month, each year. Somebody said something about keeping the momentum. A lot of time as black folk, or all folk, we lose the momentum after everything has settled down. When we passed, there was the people who were coming to the family, interviewing the family, providing for the family, asking questions, doing rallies and marches for the cause. And it still continues, but I just wish that as a people, we keep that momentum in everything that we do. You know, we talked about those 7 principles of Kwanzaa and how those principles can uphold that black community. And I think those were the things that Boo practiced, and he probably didn't even know it. As the song said, you don't even know. So we just appreciate it. I know that the family, if all the family could stand up, it's a bunch of us here, we all can stand up.
Amen.
We appreciate your time. We thank you. I know Boo is smiling down on us right now, but if we can continue to march and continue to keep going as Boo did, I think that person by person we will begin to make impact in Rochester. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, he is one of my church members.
Gregory Jefferson died on August 10, 2011, at the age of 52, but not before building a legacy of community involvement and activism. Greg was born in Oakland, California, and served 20 years in the U.S. Army, attaining the rank of senior drill sergeant before retiring. Greg worked for Rochester Jobs, Inc., Action for a Better Community, the Health Association DePaul, and before his death, was employed by the Rochester Housing Authority as an employment program director and manager. There was ample testimony from community and family members, former persons he worked with or supervised, and journalists at the time of his passing that Rochester had lost a giant. Here's a sampling from the 62 obituary emails received in the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle after his passing. Greg made everyone feel as though they were his best friend. He always knew the words to say, to make you realize how special you were. But at this moment, I find it impossible to find the words to let him know how truly special he was to me. Dean Neville. I met Greg just once, and in that single encounter, it was obvious that he was a man of distinction and goodness. He carried himself confidently, respectably, and professionally, and he had such good and positive energy. Teach Jr. Greg was a loving and kind godfather to my son, Marcus A. Miranda. He could be counted on in times of celebration, sorrow, and was always willing to assist in guiding my son, Carleen Hall Miranda. Goodbye, Greg. A true gentleman, leader, and mentor. I will never forget working under your direction and being your friend. Your strong sense of integrity will never be forgotten. Derek Hasty. Journalist Gloria Winston Al-Sarraf wrote in her column in the Minority Reporter dated August 19, 2011, that Greg was a friend, brother, boss, colleague, and husband. She continued that she worked for Greg for 3 years at ABC's Head Start pilot program and told all who would listen that she never had a better boss. She wrote that Greg treated his staff like adults and did not micromanage. He trusted that the people he hired were capable of doing their job and let them. Journalist Aaron Wicks, writing in the SmugtownBeacon.com, wrote on August 15, 2011, that Greg's loss creates a stunning sense of emptiness. He did not abide laziness, whining, or negativity. He was driven to excellence and driven to serve. He wanted to help people who live at the fringes of our society, the poor. He was firm and caring, with a gentleness that was present, but not ostentatious. Greg Jefferson was completely unflagging in his belief that people, all people, can and must succeed in reaching their goals. Greg was not a talker, he was a doer. Greg served on several boards and volunteered as a coach for youth basketball, baseball, and football teams. It was mentioned several times that he loved to fish and hunt, and was an excellent cook. And he was a die-hard Oakland Raiders fan. Greg leaves to cherish his memory, his wife, Joy Wilma Jefferson, 2 sons, Gregory and David, his father and mother, siblings, in-laws, and loved ones. Mrs. Joy Jefferson started the Gregory Jefferson Scholarship Fund in 2012 to provide young adults living in Rochester's public housing with college scholarships. Hanif Abdul Wahid wrote in the Minority Reporter that Greg was, quote, a great human being, friend, and community treasure. Today, we, the Maafa Celebration Committee, honor Gregory Jefferson as a warrior who made not only the community of Rochester a more humane and positive place, but who talked the talk and walked the walk.
I check.
I'm Joy Jefferson, Gregory's wife. During our 22 years next month. And I'm trying to continue his legacy, and I have started the Gregory Jefferson Memorial Scholarship Foundation. I've done 2 golf tournaments already, and we've raised over $50,000, and we give $1,000 scholarships to youth who do the right thing, to the police department, and also women living in Destiny Housing. Gregory is sore with us, but please continue to